Well, it's a new era at Oklahoma because, the last era basically needed just 4 games. What's up, everybody? John Hoover, Sooners on SI. This is the Sooners on SI weekend preview. That's Ryan Chapman. We're changing the format up a little for you guys this week, so we hope you enjoy the new. Ryan, Oklahoma's coming off its first loss of the season, and here I'm going to try to be as optimistic as I can be, but I don't think it's going to be their last loss. OU's offense struggled last week against a really good Tennessee defense, and the Vols did just enough to win, gave Josh Heupel a 25-15 victory on Owen Field, where he made so much magic back in 99 and 2000. The big news, of course, is that five-star quarterback Jackson Arnold got benched. And this wasn't like a Spencer Rattler, Tanner Mordecai type benching. This was a Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams type benching, in my opinion, where Jackson Arnold, I mean, the poor guy, he doesn't get to look at his last game from the sideline, right, and go back in. I get the feeling he's lost his job right now. The true freshman Michael Hawkins, he's Oklahoma's starting quarterback for the foreseeable future, anyway, which starts Saturday, 2:30 kick Saturday at Auburn on ABC. We heard Brent Venables on Saturday night. We heard him again on Monday. And we heard him again on Tuesday about the switch. So, Ryan, let me get your thoughts. Did OU make a mistake letting Dylan Gabriel go? We talked about it earlier in the week on the podcast, but did OU make a mistake handing the keys over to the offense to Jackson Arnold without so much as a quarterback competition? If you think about it, Hawkins came in last winter. Remember, he was the backup in spring practice. Did he ever even have a fair shot at actually winning the job this season, this fall? I guess it's going to take. Did it really need to take Jackson Arnold falling so flat on his face with 9 turnovers in his 5 starts, 3 of those against the Vols, to have Michael Hawkins get an actual shot at winning the quarterback job?
Yeah, I think so. And here's why. Like Dylan Gabriel a year ago knew that Jackson was coming in. Dylan Gabriel would exit stage left. Jackson Arnold would step on to the limelight that is quarterback at Oklahoma. Michael Hawkins, when he signed, he knew Jackson Arnold's on campus. I'm probably going to back him up for 2 years and then get my shot, all that stuff. But missed evaluations, missed development, whether it's that, Jackson Arnold may go on to have a great career, probably not in Norman, or whether it's that he failed with all the other stuff going on around him. He was not built to mentally process not having an offensive line, having a banged up wide receiver core, all that stuff. The fact of the matter is, that is how it was supposed to play out with Jackson Arnold taking over. He got the whole offseason development and all that stuff. It just didn't translate to the field after 4 starts. And I think that you put the first half and the second half side by side, and unquestioned, Hawkins outplayed Arnold. Hawkins deserves this start. Hawkins should be the guy going forward, unless he shows with all the pressure on his shoulders, he makes those same mistakes. It wasn't that there were freshman mistakes. It was the manner of the mistakes. They were backbreakers. They removed Oklahoma from the football game. And that's how it goes sometimes. Not everything is the plug and play. Caleb Williams, it's a miracle immediately like that, even though it took him some time. That's how it's supposed to play out. Unfortunately, Jackson Arnold played his way out of Oklahoma's starting job.
Yeah, we're hearing that Michael Hawkins is going to be the first freshman. If he survives this week, everything goes according to plan, he's going to be the first freshman to start against Texas. He's already going to be the first freshman to make his first career road start on the road as a freshman this week. First ever in school. No, first since Troy Aikman, but the first freshman, if everything holds up, to start against Texas. Caleb Williams came in basically in the first half of that game, ran it, quarterback sneak, 4th and 1, 66-yard touchdown. Oh, now he's the starting quarterback. So it took him literally half. He was that close to being the first true freshman to start against the Longhorns. But now that, again, if everything goes according to plan, will belong to Michael Hawkins. Auburn's going through a similar midseason quarterback competition. They thought they figured it out in the preseason. They didn't. Peyton Thorne was the starter. He played bad enough to lose his job to freshman Hank Brown, who threw so many interceptions last week that Hugh Freeze had no choice but to put Thorne back in. Imagine Michael Hawkins throws 3 picks against Tennessee, or in this case, Auburn, and you got to put Jackson Arnold back in. That would be a disaster of epic proportions. Obviously, you talk about a divided locker room. Ryan, OU's defense was really good Saturday against Tennessee. Can knowing what we know about the offensive line, knowing what we know about the receivers, and a true freshman quarterback, can they continue the defense that is to play at that level to keep OU in these games?
Yeah, let me see real quick. You ready to go to Wacko World for 10 seconds? 2 years ago, Auburn was choosing between Casey Thompson and Peyton Thorne as their veteran transfers. Can you imagine if Casey Thompson had started against Oklahoma, at Texas, at Nebraska, and at
Oh,
Auburn? What a world that would be.
wow.
Anyway, regardless of if it's Peyton Thorne or if it's Hank Brown, yeah, I think this week Oklahoma's defense can. Auburn's a very weird team. They're as explosive as you'd like in the passing game, even more explosive in the running game. They have every metric that looks like straight up an elite offense except for turnovers. And for Oklahoma, I think that's a really interesting situation. They showed last week against what I think is a better offensive line and a more talented running back. I know the numbers don't bear that out, but Tennessee also was basically playing dead rubbers in the second half of every game. That's not what Auburn's had to do. I think Oklahoma showed a week ago they're for real up front. They can make Auburn one-dimensional, and this version one-dimensional might be more boomer bust than Nico Imilava making his first road start. But Nico did not throw the ball to Oklahoma. Thorne or Brown will throw the ball to Oklahoma. Those interception numbers should be worse. They've made bad decisions up and down. So I do think that Oklahoma's defense can play at that high enough level. This is my concern. I am worried that they see on film they're going to have chances not just to pick the ball off, but to pick six and run. I am concerned Oklahoma's defense tries to do too much, believes they've got to score 14, 21 points by themselves, and starts taking reckless gambles that we haven't seen this year. You can live with a couple of busted plays or the couple of plays they just straight up got beat against Tennessee. Two of those three big pass plays, they held Tennessee to a field goal right after that. I do worry, though, that they've got it within them. They just got to play within themselves and not try to do too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think four completions resulted in 90 some yards, 190 some yards against Tennessee, then including the 66-yard touchdown. The defense does show occasionally, I think, the propensity to have a whoops moment. Whoops, there he goes. Whoops, that's happened. Someone that won't be taking the blame for anything that happens on the defense this week is Jacoby Johnson, because he's moved from defensive back to wide receiver. He's also a pretty darn good basketball player. Maybe Porter Moser should look into bringing him on. He was really good in high school at all those things at Mustang. He played mostly special teams last year. He's been a DB. He's gotten some quality snaps this year on defense, but this week he's moving to wide receiver. Question is this. You got a new quarterback. You got the same offensive line, although I think you're going to see Troy Everett back in the lineup this week. He almost got back last week. This week he's supposed to possibly be back. With Jacoby Johnson playing wide receiver, with Michael Hawkins playing quarterback, and with Michael Hawkins apparently finding a little chemistry with a guy by the name of Jaquez Petaway last week against Tennessee, does that do anything for you? Do those moves do anything for you, regardless of whether the offensive line is better or worse, which is a stupid thing to say? Does the new receivers and the chemistry and the new quarterback do anything for you for this offense?
New quarterback, yes, because I do think he'll be under duress, but he showed he was running for his life a little bit against Tennessee. He was able to move around, find Jaquez Petaway a couple of times, things like that. I do think that connection with Petaway is going to matter. Think back to last year, the Alamo Bowl. Arnold and Nick Anderson went all the way through camp working with twos, stuff like that. Those guys circle back around and had good connection. I don't know how big of a role Jacoby's going to play, and that's not a knock on Jacoby's athleticism or his ability as a wide receiver, anything like that. He's worked with the offense for a week. I don't know what even his package is going to look like. How many formations realistically does Emmett Jones even want to utilize him for? I can see them trying to get a catch or two, maybe some quick stuff. I can see him being used as well to block on the perimeter because he is physical as all get out. But Brent Venables even cautioned that this is not going to be suddenly the overnight end-all, fix-all. This was a move made for 8 games, not 1 game. So while Jacoby can help them, I don't think it's going to be a massive impact against Auburn, but that's where the Michael Hawkins impact needs to be felt, and just having a calmer cooler presence behind that offensive line when everything is going to be hectic and under duress.
My prediction there is that we will see Jacoby Johnson on a fade in the end zone somewhere. Don't know if he's going to come down with it, but I think that was one of his strengths as a high school player, was to high point the football. So he's really, he might be the most literally athletic player on the entire team, and that's not overstating it at all, because he was exceptional. But Order wanted him on the basketball team, and that may eventually come to pass. Who knows? But right now he's focused on football. Good enough to play offense, good enough to play defense. I look forward to seeing what he can deliver. Last one for you, Ryan. The O-line has been the center of attention. You see what I did there? As I said, I think we're going to see Troy Everett healthy this week. He was probable last week. He sounded like he'll give it a go at Auburn. You might see Jake Taylor as well. He was questionable last week, did not get in the lineup. Branson Hickman was the starter at center, and you saw Michael Tarquin back at right tackle, and you saw Jake Sexton back at left tackle. I guess we'll find out later in the week when the SEC availability report goes out live and then gets updated through the end of the week. But is there a chance, you think, that they show even marginal improvement this week against Auburn?
Sure. I guess that's always an option. If you can always improve. A lot of that'll be down to Seth Luttrell. Does he actually find a way to simplify things? If you move Troy Everett in, I would expect he'd come in at left guard instead of center and let Branson Hickman roll at center. On one hand, I have a lot more faith in Troy Everett to know just what's happening. Communication wasn't an issue with him a year ago. I did think he was undersized to play left guard a year ago. There's a reason that Caden Green had to finish that Texas game.
Yep.
But Heath Ozida, someone that I've been calling for to play, had maybe his worst performance of the year. Well, definitely his worst performance, but maybe one of the worst performances of all the offensive linemen. Neither guard covered themselves in glory against Tennessee. So I think that there's a chance for that, especially if the communication improves. Because right now, they're just trying to figure out 5 guys that can block the dudes in front of them, which is kind of insane that 5 weeks into the year, that's what you're asking from Oklahoma's offensive line. So can it get better? Yes, but I'm kind of, much like Brent Venables is tired of them making the same mistake. I'm tired of saying, surely it'll get better, and it looks worse and worse and worse.
Thanks, Ryan. Good stuff. If you guys missed our midweek pod, go back and check it out wherever you get your podcast, because we did a deep dive on the offense as well as the defense, everything that went wrong. Plus, we got Daniel Locke from Auburn Tigers on SI to come in as our guest and talk about the Tigers and what to expect and all the quarterback shuffling. So check that out. Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com is where you're going to find all of our wall-to-wall coverage all week of OU football. Ryan and I are going to be in Auburn on Friday actually is when we land. Come on, Hurricane, stay away. We're going to have boots on the ground for all your pregame coverage, all the latest breaking news, up-to-date injury reports, world famous in-game live blog. That thing really took off last week for the Tennessee game, so y'all need to check it out during the game. We'll have post-game interviews with players. We'll have post-game interviews with coaches, as well as our post-game reaction on the field, plus the Sooners on SI post-game podcast, certified fresh from hopefully the press box, but it might be the coffee shop across the street. All of our content is free at Sooners on SI. So check it out right here. Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com. For Ryan Chapman, I'm John Hoover. See you guys.